Hey guys, Eric Cressey. I want to talk to you a little bit about how the Serratus Anterior works, and one of the best ways to see how it works is to see what happens when it's not there. So in this case, we've got somebody who's actually been diagnosed with long thoracic nerve palsy. So long thoracic nerve innervates your Serratus Anterior. Without basically that neural input, it's not going to work super well. So we know Serratus Anterior is a protractor of the scapula. So if he goes to protract out in front, you'll notice that he pops right off. So because he doesn't have serratus to kind of keep that scap hugged to the rib cage, when he protracts, pec minor has to do all the work and he has to anterior tilt. So if we ask him to correct that winging, he has to use low trap to posterior tilt, get it snug to the rib cage, but he's not actually protracted at all. So getting his arm out in front either has to come from a combination of humeral movement with scapular anterior tilt, or he has to correct it and just get it through the glenohumeral joint. Okay. With that said, more important role for Serratus Anterior is going to be kind of as an upward rotator of the scapula. So your serratus works to create the rotational component of upward rotation, and it works as kind of like a synergistic approach with upper trap creating some elevation and low trap kind of creating an element of posterior tilt. So if we look at his left side, which has pretty normal function, as we come up, the scap rotates around the rib cage, it elevates a little bit, and it posterior tilts to get that clean upward rotation. If we haven't gone into abduction, so out to the side to get up overhead, what you'll notice is that A, it's a lot harder for him to get there, but B, do you notice the aggressive pull that has to take place through upper trap? So he basically can't get the rotational component of that scapular upward rotation, so the scap stays down and the ball rides up on the socket, and that's why the range of motion is so limited. Okay. If we wanted to really help him up overhead, because we know he actually has the range of motion to get there, we'd say you cue the arm and I'll bring the scap along for the ride, and I can guide him into an element of upward rotation. Okay. You'll see it even more pronounced if you go straight out in front in deflection. As he comes overhead, he'll pop right off, and he can't get that scap around the rib cage. So what we very commonly see with folks who have faulty Serratus Anterior function, or in this case no serratus function at all, the only solution is to elevate the scap. So you see most of these guys wind up with lots of upper trap kind of tightness. They have to find some other strategy to get their arms up overhead. So really interesting look at just how important the Serratus Anterior is for creating that rotational component of taking that inferior medial border of the scap and wrapping it around to the armpit as you go up overhead or as you go through reaching motion. So really, really important stuff that you need to train, not just in overhead throwing athletes, but really with anyone with some kind of shoulder pathology.